From draft day snub to preseason spotlight, how Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut had his mother calling out Brian Daboll and the Giants. Some NFL stories are slow burns, developing over months or years before they catch fire. Others ignite in an instant, sparked by a single performance or one viral clip. And then there are stories like Shedeur Sanders' preseason debut for the Cleveland Browns, tales that blend months of controversy, personal motivation, and pure on-field execution into a single, undeniable moment. In early August 2025, the rookie quarterback stepped onto an NFL field for the first time in live competition and, by the time the lights dimmed, had the football world talking. His stat line alone, 14 completions on 23 attempts for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 30-10 win over the Carolina Panthers, was impressive. But the performance's true weight was in what it represented: redemption, validation, and a pointed rebuttal to those who doubted him, including one very high-profile critic in New York. The Giants' connection that never was. To understand why Pilar Sanders, Shedeur's mother, lit up social media after his debut, you have to go back to late 2024, just before Shedeur's final college game in the Alamo Bowl. Back then, Shedeur was the face of Colorado football and already a top NFL prospect. In a move that caught both his fanbase and the football media off guard, he took the field wearing custom red and blue cleats. The color choice wasn't random. It was an unmistakable nod to the New York Giants, the franchise that, at that time, held the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. For many, it felt like an open flirtation. Sanders seemed to be saying, "I want you to draft me." The message was clear, the symbolism deliberate. Giants fans buzzed about the possibility of pairing Sanders with head coach Brian Daboll, who had already developed a reputation as a quarterback-friendly offensive mind. But that potential marriage never happened. The draft slide nobody saw coming. Fast forward a few months. The NFL Combine had come and gone. The pro days were done, and the rumor mill was churning at full speed. Most analysts still had Sanders going in the first round, possibly even the top 10. But draft night had other plans. As the picks ticked by, Shedeur's name stayed on the board. The Giants, holding the number 3 overall pick, went in a different direction entirely, selecting edge rusher Abdul Carter. Later, with the 25th pick, they grabbed Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. The New York media immediately began asking why Sanders hadn't been their guy. That's when ESPN draft analyst Todd McShay dropped a nugget that would become a key part of the narrative. According to McShay, Sanders had an underwhelming private meeting with the Giants. The problem? His preparation for an install package. Essentially, the team giving him a slice of their playbook to study and later review, reportedly fell short. The exchange with Daboll, McShay said, was awkward. The implication was clear. In the eyes of the Giants, Sanders wasn't ready. Daboll speaks and closes the door. When pressed, Daboll didn't directly criticize Sanders, but his comments offered little room for misinterpretation. "Yeah, I'd say we had good meetings with all the guys that came in here for visits," Daboll said at the time. "Quarterback meetings were productive. And, we're happy with Jackson Dart. That was it. No defense, no suggestion that Sanders had been close to their pick." Whatever small chance there had been for a Giants-Sanders union vanished with that soundbite. The Browns step in. The draft continued, and Sanders' slide became one of the biggest storylines of the weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers passed. The Las Vegas Raiders passed. Dozens of other teams multiple times passed. Finally, in the 5th round, the Cleveland Browns took him. By then, 143 players, including 5 quarterbacks, had been selected ahead of him. It was humbling. It was frustrating. And, as it turns out, it was motivating. Preseason heat and breaking stereotypes. By the time the Browns began preseason play in August 2025, Sanders had already heard every narrative about him. Too cocky. Product of his father's hype machine. Couldn't handle NFL-level installs. A celebrity QB without the chops to compete in a real pro system. Then came the shot clock video from NFL content creator Justin Morelli, breaking down how Sanders had shattered many of those stereotypes. The footage showed him moving in the pocket, escaping pressure, delivering throws on the run, and, perhaps most importantly, keeping his composure under NFL speed. Pilar Sanders fires back. When Shedeur delivered his preseason performance against Carolina, 2 touchdowns to receiver Caden Davis, precision throws under pressure, and improved pocket movement, Pilar Sanders couldn't resist taking aim at those who had doubted her son. She reposted Morelli's video on her Instagram story with the caption, "What was that name out of NYC again?" The jab wasn't subtle. It was aimed squarely at Brian Daboll and the Giants, the team that had not only passed on Sanders but had, in some circles, been painted as dismissive of his abilities. The Josa Anderson factor. It wasn't just Pilar who stirred the pot. Former ESPN and CBS Sports insider Josa Anderson also jumped in, reminding her followers of Sanders' pre-draft Giants-themed cleats. Whose cleats did Shedeur Sanders rock before the draft? Don't get it cracking now. Worry about the Bills. Anderson posted on X. The post was both a shot at Giants fans and a sly acknowledgement of how much had changed since those cleats first made waves. Giants fans clapped back. Of course, New York fans weren't going to let the narrative slide. They pointed out, correctly, that the Giants weren't the only ones who had passed on Sanders. In fact, 31 teams had done so, including the Browns themselves 6 times before they finally picked him. The debate raged online. Was Sanders' preseason performance proof that Daboll and the Giants had made a mistake, or was it simply too early to tell? Breaking down the debut. Lost in the social media sparring was just how well Sanders played in his debut. His first drive ended in a quick 3-and-out, the kind of shaky start many rookies face. But once a muffed Panthers punt gave Cleveland great field position, Sanders capitalized immediately, firing a 7-yard touchdown to Davis. On the next possession, he dropped a low but catchable 12-yard dart, again to Davis for his second score. From there, the rookie's confidence grew. He operated both under center and in shotgun, handled simulated pressure packages, and showed flashes of the field vision that made him a star at Colorado. Yes, he held the ball too long on a few snaps, and yes, his deep ball timing needs work. But for a 5th-round pick in his first NFL action, it was an undeniably strong showing. The LeBron James seal of approval. Even NBA legend LeBron James weighed in during the game, tweeting, "And I don't want to hear that it's only preseason BS, 'cause if he was out there not going in, y'all would be on his A about it. So give credit and grace, lames." Man shrugging medium dark skin. Coming from one of the most influential voices in sports, the message amplified the sense that Sanders' debut was worth taking seriously. The road ahead. The Browns' quarterback room remains crowded. Joe Flacco is the presumed starter, with Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel working back from injuries, and Tyler Huntley also competing for snaps. But Sanders' performance has at least earned him another long look. For now, the rookie is focused on stacking good days, in practice, in preseason, and, if given the chance, in the regular season. And if along the way he makes a few high-profile critics eat their words, well, that's just extra motivation. From cleats to comeback. The image of Shedeur Sanders in red and blue Giants-themed cleats is now a piece of draft lore, a what could have been for New York, and perhaps a what might still be for Cleveland. For Sanders himself, the story isn't about proving one coach wrong. It's about proving himself right. About showing that the skills he believed could thrive in the NFL weren't just college highlights but pro-ready tools. And for his mother, Pilar, it's about protecting her son's narrative and making sure those who doubted him are reminded, publicly, when he proves them wrong. Because in the NFL, receipts aren't just kept. They're posted.